Hello, you two. I'm so glad to see that you are on time. So let's start with Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse, how are you today?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Good afternoon from Vietnam, Miss Lisa.
Good morning.
I am, yeah, I feel really well because this day I have been felt like overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now it's really well because I have found a channel uh, to teach me about study method because I'm getting stuck with my study and working online. So this channel boosts my productivity and also release my stress, my anxiety. Yeah.
And I think that's so good because even if you study for 10 hours a day, if you are not using the correct study method or you don't know what you're doing, 10 hours means nothing. I'm very glad to hear that you
Yes.
found that channel, Min. That's very good. Okay, Huyen, we'll go to you. How are you today, Huyen?
Well, today is so good to me, and now am staying at home, and I have no any lessons or any assignments for home today. So I feel so unlike.
That is beautiful, though. Very nice. So you can do whatever you want, and you can have a nap. Yes. And
Yes, I have just awake.
oh, how awesome is that? I love that, Huyen. Good morning, Trung. How are you?
I'm good, and today I have nothing to say more.
Okay. And did you get lots of homework at school this week?
Yes, absolutely, yes,
Oh
and I
no.
have to do it in weekend.
So you have a busy weekend.
Yes,
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. That is horrible. Ugh, homework on the weekend sucks, Trung. Good morning, handsome Koa. How are you today?
Um, I'm pretty off today. Yeah,
Why?
just yeah. We had I had a test on the morning in the morning. Yeah, a 15-minute test on geography.
Okay, so did you know the work? Did it go well?
It did went well, but some but a student in my class she asked to redo the test since she's not satisfied with the score. Yeah,
Oh, how annoying is that? Okay.
I
Yes.
got 8.5 on it.
And now the other
I
student
got
wants
eight.
the other student wants to redo it, so now you have to have a new test.
Yeah.
We don't like her anymore, okay, Koa? We don't like her. We're not going to speak to her. Okay, we're done with her. Oh, that is annoying. I'd be annoyed. Fwong, how are you today?
Feel like today is good.
Okay, and how was school this week?
This week I received lots of homework in school, and I have to go to some extra classes after class. Um,
So you have no time to actually do your homework.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible. Okay, so I'm just going to depress all of you even more. At the moment, I am on a week-long holiday because it's our midterm break. So in the middle of the semester or in the middle of the term, there is a short break and it is for a week long. So while you are all panicking and doing homework, I'm going to be sitting next to the pool, drinking tea or coffee or cocktails or whatever I want. I'll send you photos, okay? So I'll send. Are you studying? This is me next to the pool. Just to make you all a little sad. Okay, Minnie Mouse, is that okay? A little bit mean. Okay, that when you were on your 2-month long holiday, I was not on holiday. So this is how I get back at you. Okay, guys, so today we are looking at culture. So culture is often a topic that comes up, especially the higher you are going with your IELTS exams. So culture refers to different societies within our world. So that world that Min can see from his window, seeing as he is still in space, it refers to different societies that have formed their own rules. So you've got the Vietnamese society will be completely different from the British society, which is completely different from the American society. It's just the rules, the norms that they adhere to. So we are looking at culture today. And the first one is a vocabulary review exercise. So it says, which aspects of life do you think have been affected by globalization? Are there any aspects of culture that have not been affected? So by globalization, do you agree that traditional cultures are under threat from globalization? Do you think governments have a duty to protect minority cultures that are at risk? Okay, so does anyone have an opinion on question 1? Which aspects of life do you think have been affected by globalization? Do we all know what globalization is? Let's start there. We all understand the concept. Is there someone who wants me to explain it? No, we're good? Okay. So the globalization obviously is where it is so much easier to get to different places now. So if I wanted to order shoes from Vietnam, I could order them today and I could have them on Monday. If I wanted to travel to China, I could get on a plane today and I could be there possibly on Sunday. So it refers to how small our world has become, that there is no place we can't go and nothing we can't have from the different places. So is there any aspect or any part of life that you think has been affected particularly badly or particularly well by globalization? I'm going to give you a minute to think.
Mất Tristan à? Mất Chí à? Mất anh Chí. Anh Chí.
I'm just going to mute Trung as well. Anyone? Yes. Huyen, what do you think?
From my perspective, now we can it's so easy to see any foreign people near near our house, and I think it's mm, I think it is a result of globalization. However, our traditional activities is can't be affected because the because like foreign people they go to our country to um, know more about our tradition. So our country can be more and more well known and improve. I think so.
Very good. Thank you, Huyen. Does anyone else have an opinion on globalization and life? Yasmin? I'm sorry. Yes, Minnie Mouse?
We're still with question number 1, right?
You can answer any of the questions. It's absolutely fine.
No, got it. As a man who binge on eating many kinds of food, I think globalization has affected food cuisine with the enormous way. And right now,
Sorry, hold
I
on.
live in
That was my phone. Apologies. Yes?
right now, if you live in a big city like me, Saigon, you can easily taste Western cuisine, Chinese cuisine, or even some traditional rare cuisine from some country like South Africa. And I think globalization that's a really good way to affect the food cuisine like that.
Absolutely. So it has allowed everyone a broader perspective of the world. So traditionally, I'm just going traditionally, pizza is not a Vietnamese dish, and never ever would you have found pizza in Vietnam 400 years ago because it just wasn't known. Pizza was or is an Italian dish. So, in order to have pizza, you would have had to travel to Italy. So, pizza becoming a global fast food favorite means that people have traveled to Italy or have Italian people have traveled the world and said, oh, look at this dish we make. Or, you know, when I was in Italy, I tasted the most divine thing and I've now brought it back. And that is both a good and a bad thing. One of the really, really bad things of globalization is there are still, especially in Africa, there are still tribes, so small societies, pockets of people that have not had any exposure to the world. So they're often referred to, if you go on Google, as the lost tribes. And they still run around naked. They hunt for their food, they hunt for their animals or their berries. So they are still very much a nuclear society. And the problem is when the world discovers them, the first thing they want to do is they want to study them. So when they want to study them, immediately the culture or that society becomes aware that there is something different. And what has really had a huge impact is obviously they don't have any immunity against the diseases that we are used to, like flu or a cold or chickenpox or measles. All of those things, because we live in this global society, we've all got some immunity against it. So if you get a cold, you don't get it that badly because your body has built up antibodies over the years. They have nothing. So then, in discovering these lost tribes or lost cultures, we tend to ruin them because everyone who is exposed to what we have, they will be fascinated by your Xbox or your PlayStation or your tablet or your TV, and introducing anything like that into their culture ruins their culture or makes it less pure, which is a problem. But the nice part of globalization is I can have pizza whenever I want, or I can have Chinese tonight for dinner because I have a local Chinese restaurant. I can order beautiful clothes from Singapore and get it the next day. So that is the perk of globalization. It also means that you and I can have a conversation together because we've established a global language. Whereas before, if you think 400 years ago, if I'm the only language I know is English and the only language you know is Vietnamese, we could not communicate. It would be something like me, Liesel, you. So it's just changed the whole vibe of the world, which is really cool. Okay, does anyone else have a comment on globalization? I love this topic. I think it is so interesting. And obviously, there's no right or wrong opinion, which makes it even better. Anyone? Anyone? Yes, Huyen.
After listening you, and I feel so grateful to the globalization because thanks to it, I can watch many films in English or any other languages, and I can know about um, many language many knowledge which can't be written in Vietnamese, and I really feel it's so interesting and fascinating, and yes.
I agree completely. So I know the British people often think that they discovered the world. They didn't. So we'll just let them think that for a little bit longer. But if you look at globalization and what we've learned from the ancient Egyptians about astrology, like the stars, the studying of the calendar, and then we go to Roman times or Greeks, where we have all your Aristotle and all of your philosophers and what we've learned from them. And the reason we all have access to this knowledge is because of globalization. So obviously, not everyone can travel. Not everyone likes to travel. But we also have a common library that everyone has access to, and that's the internet. So you can find out anything on the internet. You can go onto Google Earth and travel through Vietnam without ever leaving your home. And that's what makes globalization so cool. That's one of the really, really cool perks. So you're right, there are both positives and negatives, and it's not something we can ever undo. So we're just living with it. So here it says, look at a note completion task, I think, based on a talk about the globalization culture. Start with the headings. What is the structure of the talk? I just want to see if it's an audio. Dun, dun, dun. No, it's not. Okay, so if you open your LMS, which I am doing right now, so just give me 1 second. Our LMS is less than 34 today. And I have opened exercise 1 for you. So exercise 1 has got different questions, obviously, and it's all about the globalization culture. It says, look at the headings. So the first heading would be definitions, and complete the notes below by writing one word and or a number for each answer. So it has got 5 that you have to do, and you can start now. Please remember, if you're not sure about the answers, don't panic. There is no panic.
Pardon me, Miss Lizu. We study lesson 34, right?
Yes. Yes, Minnie Mouse, you are right.
Yeah, thank you.
You're going to have to change your name. It's going to have to be Minnie Mouse 10. Or you could go with Minnie 10 Mouse. Whatever makes your heart happy.
Oh dear.
Men. This activity is a bit tricky because there are no clues. It's dependent on your own knowledge. So, does anyone need another minute? Okay, so let's look. It says, the headings in bold tell you what the structure of the talk is. So we saw that the first one was the definitions. So all the questions under this heading refers to the definition of culture. Firstly, they present us with a negative view. So that's obviously indicating something bad, the bad parts, the bad aspect of culture. Then they next present us with a positive view. So what have we gained from globalization? And as we said, when we discussed it, we looked at the effects of the internet and what effect the internet has on promoting globalization. And the last heading was conclusion. So that tells you the structure that we are looking at, okay? There were different answers for each one, so don't panic. Exercise 2 says, listen to the talk and follow the notes. Don't try to fill in the gaps. Don't try to fill in the gaps. Follow each bullet point as you hear it. Your teacher will stop the recording at different stages and ask you to point to where you are in the notes. So the first thing we are doing is we are opening exercise 2 on our LMS, please. Okay. And I am sharing my screen with you so that we can all look at the LMS at the same time. Now, we know we've learned this strategy. Before you listen to any audio recording, you always look at the notes. We know we're not completing the notes. It says, globalization of culture. We've got definitions. Not everyone agrees on how to define culture. Aspects, music, clothes, food, architecture. Unseen features would be your values and your belief. Need to look deeper to comprehend the attached to cultural phenomena. Titanic's popularity in China was not because of the popularity of the US culture, but due to the negative view, increasing globalization of culture due to global something. Global business does not distinguish between cultures and so does not take into account something cultural requirements. In 1999 survey in France of people felt globalization is a danger to the French way of life. The positive view, people see globalization and are able to choose the food, music, and clothes they like. Yes. There are profound characteristics of culture, such as views on something, which are not as likely to change or to alter. The effects of the internet, it has helped save local traditions and conclusion, it is important to stress the role of something in the debate of cultural globalization. Okay, so we're going to listen to the discussion now. I'm going to mute my microphone because I think you hear better when I am muted while I'm sharing my screen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we continue our series of talks about globalization, and today's talk is on the globalization of culture. This is quite a complex topic, as there are lots of different ways in which we can look at culture. To begin with, there is no agreed consensus on how best to define culture. Culture can cover both visible aspects, such as music, clothes, food, and architecture.
Okay, so I know we are not filling in the answers now, but we have got a definition which includes two aspects. So the first one would be your visible aspects, and your second one would be your unseen aspects. Are we all in the same area? We know what we're doing. Okay, here we go.
Agreed consensus on how best to define culture. Culture can cover both visible aspects such as music, clothes, food, and architecture, as well as less visible ones such as value and belief systems. An important part I want to stress from the beginning is one that anyone who studies culture needs to understand. It's not enough to just look and see what's happening on the surface. You need to look beneath the surface to understand the meanings that people assign to cultural phenomena. Let me give you an example. The American film Titanic proved hugely popular in China when it was released in 1998. When this was studied in detail by sociologists, it was found that it had nothing to do with the popularity of American culture. The film was understood by the Chinese purely in terms of their own historical circumstances. So, the whole idea of cultural globalization needs to be looked at beyond the superficial level. Okay, let's move on to discuss some different views on the globalization of culture. For some, it's seen to be a very negative thing indeed. Many critics see it as an extension of global capitalism. They see capitalism attempting to extend its influence to all corners of the globe through advertising and marketing, creating needs people didn't know they had in order to sell their products and services. One of the main criticisms of this economic approach is that it has led to corporations trying to find uniform answers to the needs of everybody, a kind of one-size-fits-all approach to products and services they produce. In other words, this approach does not consider or cater to the different personalities that different cultures have, and therefore either ignores or is detrimental to their individual needs. Some even see this process as a form of corporate imperialism, comparable perhaps to the colonization of the New World by European powers in the 15th to 19th centuries. This can lead to a form of cultural extinction. Long-held customs and traditions slowly disappear or die out. This is a fear that many nations have expressed. In 1999, for example, a survey in France found that 60% of people in that country felt that globalization was the greatest threat to the French cultural way of life. Many people, however, view globalization in a much more positive light. Some see it as giving people more options to choose from and improving life for everyone. For example, we can get the benefits of Japanese technology, Italian food, British music, American films, and Swedish interior design wherever we live in the world. The fact that a Chinese family eats out at an American burger restaurant once a month doesn't alter the fact that on the other 30 days, they make and eat their traditional food at home. Although Japanese businessmen dress in British suits, they still do business in a very different way from their Western counterparts. In this view of cultural globalization, people are viewed as world citizens who knowingly choose from a menu of options when it comes to music, food, clothes, and so on. In other words, we have much more variety to suit our individual needs thanks to such influences. It should also be remembered, though, that when it comes to the more deeply rooted aspects of culture, these are less susceptible to change. We can change the music we listen to, but our deeper, profound beliefs about society cannot be altered so readily. To add another point to the discussion, I believe that the internet and other media that have led to a so-called global culture can actually work to the advantage of national and regional cultural groups. The internet helps spread information about these cultures and contributes towards preserving not only their customs, but also their languages. For example, many Native American tribes have used social media to re-engage younger tribe members with the skills to learn and use their mother tongues. In concluding my talk this afternoon, I would like to emphasize the part that education can play in this discussion of the globalization of culture. If we can all learn to respect other cultures and appreciate their differences rather than fearing them, it is perfectly possible for them to flourish alongside a shared global culture. Now, does anyone have any questions?
So you don't have to do anything for this slide. Oh, sorry. Let me just make sure my computer is plugged in. All you have to do is please make sure that you have marked it as okay. So exercise 2. That's what we did. We looked at the different aspects. We looked at the different structures. So we start with the definition, moved on to the negative, the positive, the role of the internet, and then the conclusion. Oh, let me just do that. Okay, we're definitely not listening to it again. Using notes to follow a talk. That is why I said it is important for us to look at the slides first, the notes, before we actually try and play the audio. Look through the information on the page before the recording begins to get a feel for what the speaker will talk about. This is particularly the case for section 4, which is based on an academic talk. As the tasks and recordings are more complex and there is no long pause during the recording. So when you are doing section 4 of your listening test for IELTS, you have to make sure that you read the questions first, because you will have no idea what the topic is going to be about. So you need to make very sure that you have an understanding of what the audio clip is before it's played. This will help you to navigate where you are in the recording with respect to the questions. And globalization, which we are covering today, is considered a academic talk. Note completion is common for section 4's academic talks, and it is possible that this section will have single note completion tasks with up to 10 gaps to cover the whole recording. You may have to listen to the whole talk with only a very short pause in the middle. Now, look at gaps 1 to 3 in the exercise. Which word or phrase is not possible for each gap? So if you open exercise 3, you will see that we are given words. So we've got obvious, defined, definition, interesting, ideas, beliefs, political, economic, political, social. And you have to choose Which word, there's one, which word or phrase is not possible? So basically, for this exercise, you are choosing the wrong answer for each of those questions. Okay, you can start now. It does say you have 5 minutes, so please don't panic. If you are not finished in time, don't worry. I'm just setting the timer so that I don't lose track of time.